In this video, I'm going to discuss the topic about comparing alternatives. Most engineering and business projects can be accomplished by more than one method or alternatives. Now, in the previous topic about the basic methods, uh, only one alternative or investment is considered. But for this topic, we will deal with problems involving more than one alternative. And the fundamental principle on which alternative should be used is stated as follows. The alternative that requires the minimum investment of capital and will produce satisfactory functional result will always be used, unless there are definite reasons why an alternative requiring a larger investment should be adopted. So ang pilion, ang i-choose is ang katong alternative with the minimum investment but will produce satisfactory result. So in order to select the right alternative, there are several methods or patterns used in comparing alternatives. The first one is the rate of return on additional investment method. So the formula used for this one is this. The rate of return on additional investment is equal to the net annual savings over additional investment. So the criteria is if the ROR on additional investment is bigger than the given the required ROR, then you will choose the alternative with the bigger investment. Bale, ma-justify ang alternative that requires additional investment. But if the computed ROR is less than the required OR, then you will choose the alternative having a lesser or that requires smaller investment. Okay, that's the criteria. The second one is the annual cost method. Okay. To apply this method, the annual cost of the alternatives, including interest on investment, is determined. Same sa basic methods. Na if you use the annual cost method, the interest on investment is part of the cost or is considered as a cost. Okay. So, in comparing alternatives, we will be comparing costs and not income. So, ang revenue is not considered direct in comparing alternatives. Cost ang mina-compare. So, the alternative with the least annual cost is chosen. Okay. Remember, the alternative with the least annual cost is chosen. So, this pattern, like the ROR on additional investment pattern, applies only to alternatives which has a uniform cost data for each year and a single investment of capital at the beginning of the first year of the project life. Same sa idea sa basic methods na ang ROR o ang annual cost is based on the assumption that uniform ang cost each year. Okay? And then single investment at the beginning of the first year. So same lang din happen. The third method is this, the equivalent uniform annual cost method. So in this method, all cash flows, irregular or uniform, must be converted to an equivalent uniform annual cost. That is a year-end amount which is the same each year. This means na pag naka-single payment, i-convert na nimo into an annuity. Make sure na all payments will be converted to annuities. Okay. And mo nang tawag equivalent uniform annual cost. Equivalent siya because there are costs na dili uniform. I-convert na nimo. And the alternative with the least equivalent uniform annual cost is preferred. Since we are comparing costs, dapat you will choose the smallest value, least. With the equivalent uniform annual cost method is used, the equivalent uniform annual cost of the alternatives must be calculated for one life cycle only. Okay. One life cycle. Present worth cost method. Okay. In comparing alternatives by this method, determine the present worth of the net cash flows for each alternative. Take note for the same period of time. The alternative with the least present worth of cost is selected. Take note, same period of time. For example, if one alternative has a life of 10 years and the other one has a life of 15 years, dapat find a certain period na mag-equal sila. So, the alternative with a life of 10, 3 times ka magbuhat o cash flow to para ang life niya becomes 30 na. While the other alternative having a life of 15, twice ka magbuhat o cash flow para ang life niya is 30. Dapat equal ang life niya. Same period of time. Okay? So, dapat same lang sila over life value. And the alternative with the least present worth of cost is selected. The other one is this, the capitalized method. The capitalized cost method is a variation of the present worth cost pattern. Similar sa present worth. This method is used for alternatives having long lives. And to use this method, determine the capitalized cost of all the alternatives and choose that one with the least capitalized cost. Okay. To give you an idea, let's review about capitalized cost. One of the most important applications of perpetuity is in capitalized cost, long lives. Perpetuity is in capitalized cost. The capitalized cost of any property is the sum of the present cost and the present worth of all the cost of replacement, operation, and maintenance for a long time or forever. Perpetuity. So again, capitalized cost is the sum of the first cost and the present worth of all the cost of replacement, operation, and maintenance. So, case 1, there are 3 cases. No? Case 1 is no replacement. Diba? Present worth of all cost of replacement, operation, and maintenance. So, ang case 1 is no replacement, only maintenance on and or operation every period. Okay. So, therefore, the capitalized cost is first cost plus present worth of perpetual operation and or maintenance. So, wala man replacement. Sample problem. Determine the capitalized cost of a structure that requires an initial investment of 1 million pesos and an annual maintenance of 200,000. Interest is 20%. So this is considered the perpetuity, 200,000 perpetuity. 200,000. So you get the present worth of perpetual maintenance. The formula is A over I lang. It is just discussed sa additive perpetuity. 200,000 over 0.2, it's 1 million. Therefore, the capitalized cost is first cost plus the present worth of perpetual maintenance. So the capitalized cost is 2 million pesos. Case 2 is replacement only, no maintenance and or operation. So only replacement. So capitalized cost is equal to first cost plus present worth of perpetual replacement. Okay. Now, ang perpetual replacement is dili man siya every period, no? Every key periods. Okay. Every key periods. Dili sa every period. How do we get the present worth of perpetual replacement? Let S be equal to the amount needed to replace a property. Amount needed to replace a property every K periods, not every period, every K periods. And let X be the amount of principal invested at rate I%, the interest on which will amount to is every K periods. So, mag-invest ka og X, okay? Mag-invest ka og X. Ang interest sa ani, no? The interest on which, the interest is I% of X or simply XI. Ang interest ana will amount to is, meaning to say, the future worth of the interest is equal to is. Mana ang meaning ano? The interest on which will amount to is. The future worth of all the interest will be equal to is. Okay. So, muna ang XI, the interest. Interest on X every K period. Every period, sorry. The periodic payment towards the accumulation of S. Accumulation of F. Future worth of XI is equal to S. Okay. So, for K period, okay, mo ang interest. Amo ni ang amount needed to replace a property. No? And para makuha ning S, mo ni atong interest sa amount being invested, XI. So if you get the future worth of all these interests, it will sum up to is, mo ni nakasulat din. The interest on which will amount to is. So this is the cash flow diagram to find X. Bali, you need this amount. So therefore, need ni mo ni para pag-accumulate ani, this will equal to is. So formula of F is equal to A quantity, F given A I% N. This one. And makancel ang I. Cancel. And to solve for X, X is simply S over 1 plus I raised to k minus 1. So, it means na whatever amount you need for replacement, use this formula to determine the amount you need to invest in order to raise this amount after k period, okay, for replacement. So, what's the difference between P and X in a perpetuity? Okay. This is perpetuity. While this one is replacement. Every K periods man. K, 2K, 3K, naka-S. Ano yung amount needed for replacement? Perpetual yan pa na? Perpetual replacement. And for P, it's A over I. But for X, this one, S over 1 plus I raised to K minus 1. So, difference is P is the amount invested now at I% per period whose interest at the end of every period forever is A. So, bali, mag-invest ka og P, every period may interest siya og A. Forever. No? Perpetuity man. While ang X is the amount invested now at I% per period whose interest at the end of every K periods forever is so mag-invest ka og X ay mo nang interest na S. Every K periods dili every period, every K periods. So to check if K is equal to 1, if every period then X is equal to P, ba? If K is equal to 1, ang denominator becomes 1 plus I minus 1. So makancel I na lang, S over I. Same lang dire, A over I. If K is equal to 1. So this is the formula to be used para sa present worth of perpetual na replacement. Sample problem. A new engine was installed by a textile plant at a cost of 200,000 pesos and projected to have a useful life of 15 years. At the end of its useful life, it is estimated to have a salvage value of 20,000. Determine its capitalized cost if interest is 15% compounded annually. Okay. Every 15 years, useful life of 15 years. So first, you will buy a new engine, 200,000. Nasa life of 15 years. So therefore, after 15 years, nasa salvage value na 20,000. Now, after 15 years, i-replace nimo. Okay? Replaced by the same engine, therefore, you need an investment again of 200,000 to buy the new engine. And then after 15 years, nasa siya salvage value, 20,000. And after sayang life, you will buy another engine, same amount. And then after 15 years, salvage value again. Okay, this will continue forever. Right? So, to simplify this cash flow, ang 20 o 200, may mo na siyang 80. I-transfer lang na to, 180,000. So, 20 o 200, 180. Transfer na to. Okay, so therefore, 180,000 is the amount needed for replacement because after 15 years, you will buy this one. You need 200,000. But then, income ni ang 20,000. So you will only need 180,000 to buy the new engine. 180,000 amount for replacement. Uh, so forever man, every 15 years. So what's the present worth of all these replacement? Well, X. And so the formula is this one. 180,000 over 1 plus I raised to K minus 1. So the capitalized cost, first cost plus present worth of perpetual replacement. And the third case is a combination of 1 and 2. Replacement plus maintenance and or operation. So same lang. So that's how you compute capitalized cost. So yun na ang capitalized cost. And the last method or pattern is the payback or payout period. To use this method, the payback period of each alternative is computed. The alternative with the shortest payback period, is adopted. Again, the alternative with the shortest payback period is adopted. But this method is seldom used. Let us solve a sample problem para ma-demonstrate na to ang different methods. And again, same with the basic methods, dapat consistent ang imong conclusion considering all the methods. So here's the problem. A company is considering two types of equipment for its manufacturing plant. Pertinent data are as follows. Two options, two alternatives, type A and type B. First cost 300,000, while type B is 400,000. Annual operating cost 40,000 for A, 30,000 for B. And then we have annual labor cost, insurance and property taxes, payroll taxes, estimated life, same sila 10 years. So when you use the present worth method, single na cash flow lang. Okay? Single na lifespan, okay, same lang man sila. In single cycle. Okay. One cycle only. 10. Now, if the minimum required ROR is 15%, which equipment should be selected? A or B? First is by the rate of return on additional investment method. So, same with the basic methods sa previous na topic. We do not consider revenues na. So, purely cost there. So, first cost is depreciation, and the usual method used is the sinking fund method. 300. Since there is no salvage value, considered to be equal to 0. Wala man salvage value na mentioned there. So assume siyang 0. Supposed to be depreciation in sinking fund is first cost minus salvage value over F given A, I% N. Now this factor is 1 plus I raised to N minus 1 all over I. Okay, and then di-transfer na to ang I sa numerator. So, depreciation is 14,775.62. Next, operation. Operating cost 40. Labor 60. Labor 60. payroll taxes. Payroll tax is 4%. And insurance and property taxes 3%. So payroll is 4%, 12,000, taxes and insurance 3%, 9,000. Okay? So these are the different costs. And the annual cost for type A is this 135. Now for type B, annual cost, depreciation 400,000. The operation, you can find this one the problem. Labor, payroll, so i-add mo, the total cost sa type B is 114,000. So, naka-savings because the annual cost of A is bigger than B. So, the idea is this one. Type A needs a smaller investment, 300,000. Type B is 400,000, which means na in order to choose type B, you need an additional investment of 100,000. It's supposed to be if A is chosen, you just need an investment of 300,000. But if B is chosen, it needs, you have to spend 400,000. So therefore, you need an additional investment of 100,000 in order to choose type B. But then, bigger investment but smaller cost. So pag type B, mas mahal, ang annual cost niya is smaller. 114,000 lang compared to type A, 135,000. So makasave ba? Okay? Balis, instead of spending this one, instead of having this cost for type A, mo lang ni ang cost nimo for type B. So, naka-savings na 21,411.08. Well, an additional investment is 100,000. So, for the formula, rate of return on additional investment is net annual savings divided by annual investment. So, savings over annual investment times 100%. The ROR is 21.41. Now, the required ROR is 15%. And the computed ROR is 21. Therefore, you will choose type B. Okay, ang criteria is if the computed ROR is bigger than the required OR, you will select the alternative with the bigger investment. But if the computed ROR is less than the required ROR, you will choose the alternative which requires a smaller investment. So therefore, type B is selected. Kaya mas bigger man ang ROR, ang computed ROR compared sa required na ROR. So for this method, type B ang na-select, no? And for the other methods, dapat type B. So, The second method is the annual cost method. For type A, ang cost niya similar lang sa ROR. Depreciation, operation, labor, payroll, taxes, plus interest on capital. To recall, to apply this method, the annual cost of the alternatives, including interest on investment, is determined. So, ang interest on capital is considered as a cost, 15%. And that's 45,000. So, na total annual cost na 180,775.62. For type B, same cost gigamit sa ROR. Plus interest on capital, 15% sa first cost. That's 60,000. So the annual cost is 174. Now, for type B, the annual cost is 174. For type A, it's 180. So mas smaller ang cost sa B. 180 maning. While sa B is 174. Okay? And the criteria is this one. The alternative with the least annual cost is chosen. So 180 mana against 174. Therefore, type B should be selected. The annual cost of B is smaller than the annual cost of type A. Type B should be selected. Now, by the present worth cost method, okay. Same sa basic methods na depreciation is excluded. No? So ang cost is similar lang sa sa annual cost. So excluding ang depreciation, and also this one, we do not include interest on capital sa other methods. Again, ang interest sa capital is only considered sa annual cost method. For the other methods, dili siya. So sa present worth, ang cost na to will only be operation, labor, payroll, and insurance. So 40 plus 60, that's 100,000. Plus 12, 112, plus 9, that's 121,000. Kana lang. And make a cash flow diagram for 10 years. Naka-initial cost na 300,000. Annual cost nimo. And you get the present worth of all the costs. So as is at 300,000, you get the present worth of this annuity. This one. And you have 907,271. Present worth cost of type A. For type B, muna sa type B, excluding depreciation and interest on capital, it's only 30 plus 470 plus 16, that's 86, plus 12, that's 98,000. Okay. And then cash flow diagram, initial investment 400, and then annual cost of 98,000. Present worth sa annuity plus first cost 891. So for type B, the present worth cost is 891. Ang sa type A is 907. Okay? And to recall, present worth cost, the alternative with the least present worth of cost is selected. Least, this is bigger than sa B, 891. Therefore, type B should be selected. For the same period of time, okay, same sila 10. So, make sure na same period of time. And the last method is the equivalent uniform annual cost method. Ang cash flow ni similar sa present worth cost method. This one. And for this cash flow, i-convert na to this one. Equivalent uniform annual cost. So, ang 121 as is na uniform naman. Okay. We only need this one. We have to convert 300,000 into an annuity. I-add na to ani, and that will be our equivalent uniform annual cost. Converted niya. Converted is given P, you solve for A. This is the formula. Plus annual cost 121. This is the equivalent uniform annual cost for type A. Ang side B, same lang, 98,000. And then, i-convert 400,000 asad. I-convert na to an annuity plus 98,000. 177 against 180. So, mas smaller ang sa B. So, therefore, type B should be selected. Okay. So, dapat consistent ang conclusion, ang selection. Considering all the methods na yung gamitin. So, I hope that you have learned something from this video. Thank you for watching.